Hello. Today I'm working on a Dell Inspiron 5593. This computer was stepped on and the LCD panel is broken. It's also slightly bent. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is bent that way. Yeah, it definitely sticks up a bit. The computer runs fine. I had it booted up and running on HDMI, and it runs fine. It's got an SSD and a decent CPU, so it's worth saving. It's quite dirty, but that's okay. The bezel is broken as well. I can see that it's cracked. It's cracked there, and it's cracked there. I'll just pull the microscope down so you can see that close up. So you can see that it's cracked there. Broken, not just cracked. And then there as well. So before I start, I'm going to disconnect the battery, which requires removing the bottom case. That screw is not coming out properly. When I loosened the screw, the bottom case split apart. So I think the metal insert might be coming with it. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening here. Okay, well the screw came out, but there's some damage to the case in there. That screw was very loose. That screw is very loose. This screw is doing the same thing as the other corner, where the bottom case is opening up as I loosen it. So there's something wrong with, there's something damaged in the case here, but I won't really know until I get it opened up. There we go. So those two were longer than those two. They're different. So the two screws in the corners are longer than the other 7 screws. Now, what is this going to take? It's already kind of split apart. Might grab a spudger here, put a little bit of pressure, and see if I can get that to open. I come up around the side. Construction happening outside my window. There was a jackhammer earlier. I couldn't record during that. Couldn't even answer the phone during that. Something funny happening with this case. It just doesn't quite feel right. This isn't letting go over here where it's bent. There we go. Okay. So that has let go nicely. Gently. There we go. So we just got a couple of clips on the front still holding. And there we go. Actually looks pretty good. I don't see any broken clips. So there's an M2 drive here. And there's a vacant spot for another hard drive or SSD here. It's even got the plug. That's great. Now, I'm not sure what's going on with these corners, but it seems like everything is intact. So I'm not going to mess with that too much. I'm going to disconnect the battery. That's the goal here. Disconnect the battery so that when I disconnect the display connector, there's no risk of, or when I connect the new display, there's no risk of shorting it out and blowing the backlight fuse. That's something I didn't always used to do. I got away with it, but I know how lucky I've been. If you don't get that perfectly lined up, you can, if the pins don't perfectly line up and you end up sliding over a little bit, right now each individual pin meets just its mate. But if you slide over, now suddenly every single pin is touching every other pin. You're basically creating a big short circuit across the whole thing. It's very easy to do because those pins are so small. I never realized that until I saw somebody explain it on YouTube, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've been very lucky that I never shorted one out, because that's exactly how it happens. Okay, battery is disconnected. Now I need to remove this bezel, which has probably got clips and maybe some double-sided tape holding it on. It is broken. I'm going to use this metal tool because it's very thin. Yeah. So that just got me in, and now I'll use the plastic spudger. And so if I get it in the little bit of room that I've got here and just give it a little twist, it tends to release those clips. Actually, no, I'm lifting up on it a little bit in this case. It works better. I'm just being careful not to go too fast. You know, just trying to do one clip at a time. So yeah, it is. It's got some double-sided tape holding it on. And it's definitely broken, and this top piece is going to come off separately from the rest of the bezel. There's a webcam under there I don't want to be too aggressive with. So, okay. That's fine. I'll glue that back together when we're done, before we're done. So I'm going to go down this side and release these clips. So there's not double-sided tape along the edge, along the side, which is nice. So it's only along the top. I'm guessing that the bottom hinge covers are attached to the bezel, and there's double-sided tape along the bottom. I'm just gonna go through and try to rip that out. Just trying to get between the bezel and the tape. Okay, so that's free. I don't know about these hinge covers. They look like they might be joined up under here. I'm going to just close this a bit to make a bit of a tent. And see, can I get in there? Yeah, I can. Nice. Okay. Beautiful. So now that lifted right off. Excellent. So there's nothing else damaged on this bezel aside from the top being broken off. So I think I'm going to glue that first to give the glue some time to set while we work on the rest of it. Just going to put down a post-it note under each corner, mostly to protect my mat. And maybe I'll grab a piece of paper towel. Alrighty. Radio. And I'll put a little bit on this side as well. I think that might not be perfectly lined up. I'll flip it over and have a look. It's not too bad, actually. I might put another dab on the back side just for like an extra brace. And leave it at that. I shall move this to the other side of the desk. And now we'll replace the LCD panel. Battery's disconnected. Bezel is out. Oh no. Alright. This is taped in. It's going to be a little bit tricky to do while it's still attached to the computer. Just checking all these screws are tight. Yeah. Before I go any further, I'm going to make sure that I've got the right LCD panel. As far as I can tell, this is the correct LCD panel. I can't actually see the connector on the back, but it's the same size and it doesn't have tabs for screws. So I venture to say that this is the right panel. So let's take this one off. To do this, to get these adhesive strips out, don't know if you can even see them here. So under the microscope, there's a little tab here that is attached to the end of a 3M stretch to release double-sided tape that's holding the panel onto the back of the lid. So I'm going to pull, and I'm going to keep pulling. Only I'm going to stick this to this plastic lid while I pull to try to keep myself from pulling too hard or too fast. This will keep this thing stretched out the whole time I'm doing this. It's sticking, basically sticking to this tub as I go. One thing I should be doing though is applying a little bit of upward pressure to this LCD panel as I do this. It's always surprising that this adhesive stretches as far as it does. So I'm just lifting up on the panel as I go. There it goes. Okay. So that was pretty straightforward. I mean, I used to do this onto the plastic container to try to save the tape and potentially reuse it, but I've never actually reused it in a customer laptop. So I don't know why I bother. Now I'll go to the other side. Okay, so there's the tab. There it is. Okay. That is a small connector. Yeah, I think it's the right one. We'll see. I don't know why I'm so paranoid about that. Maybe because I got one wrong and had to send it back. Okay, there's the tape off, and now there's going to be a clip, or a latch, I guess you might call it. There we go. The latch is up. And it's out. That almost doesn't look like the right connector. No, it is. It is. Nice. Okay. That's down. And that's down. Put a little Captain tape over that. Okay, let's see if it works. There's no reason that it shouldn't work, but I want to test it before we put everything back. Oh, I'm gonna need a charger for this. Maybe I'll just plug the battery back in. Just gonna plug the battery back in. Oh, never mind. It's on. Okay. Looks good. All right, so now we need to put the double-sided tape down. Okay. So the back of the laptop has these big channels, which are clearly, they're unobstructed. It's where the double-sided tape needs to go. So let me get the tape. Now, I like to use this German 3M tape. What I've been doing is cutting a strip half the width of this roll, closer to a third of the width actually. So there's one piece that's already cut. I think it is long enough. Oh, there's some static there. See if I can ground myself and get rid of it. So I'm going to leave a little bit hanging out the bottom for removal in the future. And so I've just laid that in there, in that channel, and I'm just going to press it in as best I can. And now I need to cut another strip like that one. And to do that, I'll just take my utility knife and I'm going to lay it down, because the height of the blade when I do this is just about the width that I want for that channel, for that strip of tape. Now I'm not sure how long I want, so from there to about there. I've just got to make sure it goes deep enough that it's actually cutting the tape. Okay. And yes, it is deep enough. I go a little bit longer and then cut it off. Okay, went too low. Just going to cut this off at the top. Okay, so now I'm just going to press this tape onto the metal. And the purpose of this tape is to replicate the factory stuff that stretches to remove. I've tested this and it does stretch to remove quite well. So fingers crossed we won't need to do that again, but if it ever does need to come off, this LCD panel should be removable using the same method as the factory tape. So now I'm just taking the backing off of the tape in preparation for putting the LCD panel on. Okay, so there's that side. Alright, and there's the other side. Now, I need to make sure that when this falls down, it goes into the right place. And I also want to try to get that cable into the little cable channel that's down there. Okay, that's in. No. I think I've done it. Just going to press on that a little bit. I want to make sure that the bezel fits. I don't want to snap it in though, because I still need to take off the protective coating. I might put a little piece of paper over that double-sided tape so it's visible and so it doesn't stick to the bezel. Okay. Okay. I'm happy. I'm taking off the cover. Okay, the computer works great, so I'm going to shut it down and clean it up, get it back to the customer. Thanks for watching.